Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Well, we've already created the first same handle one there. So we can create another one here. So we'll start off with a same handle with an alternate ID. So we have same handle 2 there with alternate ID #2. And we just get that, and we'll just verify that these exist then. So yeah, there you go. And then we can actually search on the alternate ID as well. And we can see there that alternate ID 2 and same handle 2 are there. Okay, so the first way to do it is with the same handle reference in the path. So depending on the endpoint, some require the same handle reference to be in the path. And so this is how we've kind of integrated the alternate ID. The kind of a special note to make on the alternate IDs is that any special characters, so hashes, dollar signs, percentages, and all this sort of stuff, sorry, not percentages, they have to be percentage encoded in order for it to be interpreted correctly. So you've already seen that a little bit, but I can go through it again. So we just have our get the resource data endpoint. So we just see that works, and that's with your normal same handle ID. So that's kind of as was. And now with an alternate ID, we see it being percentage encoded. So percentage 23 is representative of a hash, and we can see then that that is identical to the previous. So they're both calling on the same data. And then very quickly, we can look at the error scenario. So this was a brief discussion that we had previously last time we did a demo. We've updated the error response that we get. It's now sort of NCMP-ified, where we get a same handle not found message, and then we get the the same handle reference that was passed in, and that's given back out again. So we can't find it. We can come back to the discussion around the other issue around the the kind of non-backward compatible change that we've made with the error responses. We can have that discussion at the end. So yeah, with the other endpoints then, it's the same story. So we can just normal one there, and then with the alternate ID, we see that works as well, and they both return the same response. Okay, then with the same handle in the request body, so actually get up the the Java UI, or not, sorry, the UI for Apache. Okay, so for the batch endpoint, what we can do now is that previously we had the target IDs. We can now put in alternate IDs for those in that target ID array, and we can pass that in. And then, fortunately, my UI for Apache Kafka has died on me. I'll try to get it up again. Okay, I'll try and fix that later. Okay, so I'll put a pause on that one for the moment. So the third and final option is the alternate ID option in the query. So just a point to make about this is that it'll only return alternate IDs when you have output alternate ID equals true. Any other variation of it, so false obviously doesn't return alternate IDs, output alternate ID with no value for it, that doesn't return, that only returns same handle IDs, and then just the normal endpoint works as previously, where it just returns same handle IDs, excuse me. So we'll see this being used here. So we have a normal ID search, and that returns, sorry, that was just a test one there, but that returns all your same handle IDs, and then we look in the same, search in the same public properties, but we have an alternate ID, sorry, output alternate ID is equal to true. We can see then that that returns your alternate IDs with those public properties. Okay, I'll see if I can go back to not Kafka. No, okay. I'm going to have to ask you to trust me on this one that it does work. It's just my UI for Apache doesn't want to seem to connect to the local host. So yeah, okay, that's just completely died on me. Okay, all right. So the only thing I kind of require out of uh, yourself, Tony, and Kieran is just confirmation. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, I just had one question. It was around the use of, say, slash managed element slash B function, for example. So you just have to URL and encode the slashes, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. So anything in the alternate ID would have to be percentage encoded.
Okay.
So anything kind of in between, yeah, here and here.
Perfect. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, but it would just kind of say if you want to do the same handle reference in the request body, that doesn't need to be percentage encoded. That can just be passed in normally.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you put it as percentage encoded,
Yeah.
would it treat it as a different alternate ID?
That's a good question. I think it will, yeah.
Treat it differently, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's only in the path that it should be percentage encoded.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense anyway. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So then it's just with the non-backward compatible change. Previously, if you passed in a CM handle ID that had a kind of special character in it, it would spit back out that there is a data validation error. That is no longer the case. It now just returns, it goes through the normal processes, assumes that, okay, well, if it's not a CM handle ID, then it must be an alternate ID, and then it searches on the alternate ID, and then it just spits back out saying we can't find that. So you would have previously gotten two error responses, potentially, one with a not found and one with a data validation, but now the data validation is no longer considered. So is that acceptable for everyone?
It's good for me. That's really good to see. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well,
no issues here either.
Okay, that's good. So if there's any other questions, anyone else, or
No.
no, all good. Okay.
Really good.
Yeah, just points. All of this is documented in the Open API. So if you have any sort of concerns as to where you use the option in query, that's all pointed out in the Open API. Okay.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just one quick question, Sean, before we drop.
Yeah.
In the NBC, there's an exception that can never be thrown, but is it in the interface still, or have you changed the interface?
In the so for the data validation error?
The one that you said there was the data validation error where you had a syntax error effectively. Have you removed that from the Open API, or is it simply that it will never be thrown?
It would never be thrown. I don't think it has been removed from the Open API.
Okay, so it's not actually an NBC.
Yeah.